The Tennessee Titans, 2023 offense. What's their ceiling? What's their basement? Where's the production going to come from the talent we have in the roster at this moment? We're going to get into all that today on this week's episode of Talking Titans. Sammy, why don't you start me up?
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, 94 yards. Touchdown, Titans! He is the baddest man in the NFL, and he just took her to the house.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast.
Sick!
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I'm joined always by my two fellow co-hosts, Jared and Vin. How you fellas doing on this glorious Monday?
Doing well. I want to thank all the men and women of service out there who gave us this long weekend, and let's not forget to thank all them for what they do for us and for our country. And I caught some rays down the shore this week, as Sal looks like he did too, and Jarrett's looking as pasty and beautiful as ever.
I wouldn't say pasty. I took off this sweatshirt and I'm red as a lobster. I was down the shore as well, so had a fun time with the fam. You know, drank, smoked some cigars. It was all good.
Absolutely, yeah, but absolutely. Let's thank all our men and women of service who lost our life protecting our country. Obviously, this is a day for them, so we thank you all who gave the ultimate sacrifice, and we appreciate it very, very much. Now, getting into this week's show, as I mentioned out in the intro, we're going to be talking about the Tennessee Titans offense this upcoming season. Obviously, we've touched on it numerous amounts of times in the previous shows up until this one, but we're going to dive a little bit more in detail into it. Obviously, all three of us believe there's hopefully another serious scale moving. I'll switch it up instead of the good old fashioned needle mover, but someone that's going to amplify our chances of success offensively in the next coming weeks. But assuming that person isn't here yet, let's focus on who we do currently have. Where do you see the production coming from? You could touch on some of the rookies we brought in, some of the undrafted guys, possibly, if you see them. Jarrett, start us off. I mean, what is your outlook? What is your blueprint for success in this year's offense?
Just looking at it right now as a whole for this offense, especially in the wide receiver room, like everybody's been saying, I went back and forth on Twitter the other day that I think it was John Glennon or one of those guys said that, you know, this offense is still missing pieces and this team is still missing pieces. I don't believe so, and I'm more optimistic than you guys. The only thing that we're missing is wide receivers on this team. We filled the holes at the offensive line position, which I really think, and the running back is Derrick Henry, and tight end we addressed. So the only thing we have to worry about is wide receivers. Production wise, we can get 1,000 yards out of Treylon Burks, you know, and Wiley and Chig. That, you know, that's going to be a huge compliment this year in this offense. But we're still missing that wide receiver. So without getting, you know, crazy, you know, involved into training camp just yet, but I think, you know, the wide receivers coming, whether it be Terrence Marshall, like I said, Hunter Renfrow, Juan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. There could be a trade coming, you know, soon, or a release of Juan Jennings. He's entering his fourth year, and so is No, he's not entering his fourth year. Juan Jennings is entering his third year, and Ayuk is entering his fourth year. So we can maybe sign him to a long-term deal, you know, via trade or something, instead of draft picks, you know, being involved there. So, you know, I really think the offense is gonna flourish, middle of the pack this year, and like it's not gonna be bottom tier like everyone's saying in the NFL. So I'm more optimistic than you guys.
Let's not forget D-Hop.
I think I'm out on D-Hop now. I mean,
Sorry, Vin.
We'll see about that, but
I mean, listen, would I be ecstatic if we got him? Absolutely. I just don't see him now having some say in where he wants to go, seeing how he was released, wanting to come here. Yes, he can reunite with Vrabel. Yes, we have, you know, Derrick Henry and a solid defense in a winnable division, but
Tim Kelly too.
Say that again?
Tim Kelly too. Old offensive player.
Tim Kelly as well, but I think we'd all be remiss to say that we actually believe that we're DeAndre Hopkins away from a Super Bowl. Yeah, I think we could win the division. He would help with that, but I don't think he wants to come here. I think he has Baltimore or KC or Buffalo written all over him. I think he takes a short 1-2 year deal maybe to go try to win a ring. But who knows? I mean, he doesn't have much left in his career. Probably he might go try to get that one last big deal for 4 years, 60 million, try and grab 15, 20 a year. But we'll see. I'm glad you brought up receiver though, and we're talking about rookies right now because we don't have any receiver yet on the roster worth aside from Traylon Burks worth talking about. I have been this kid's biggest champion since the night we drafted him, Tajay Spears. And I saw a report coming out that said Rand Carthon views him almost as, not to compare him to Deebo Samuel, but will be used in a way that Deebo Samuel is used. You're going to move him around. You're going to put him in the slot. I didn't even know that he played a fair amount of snaps in the slot at Tulane. Yeah. I think they're going to be creative with him, put him in the backfield, put him in the slot, run trick plays with him. I think you might see him on special teams a little bit, returning kicks, returning punts. I think he's a playmaker who, when he has the ball in his hands, is going to do some great things. And I think they're going to find creative ways to get the ball in his hands. I also think he's going to be a great spell to Derrick Henry. I think if you can get this kid 10 to 15 touches a game, if you still want to run the ball, 35 times a game, you're running 60 plays and you want to throw 25 times, 30 times, you want to run, 20, 30 times. I think getting this kid, 10, 15 touches a game through the air in the backfield, I think this kid is going to produce, and he's going to do it early and often. And I'm tired of hearing about the knee. It was not an issue his last year at Tulane. So until it is an issue, let's stop making it an issue. So
yeah, for real.
I think everyone is not sleeping on this kid. He hasn't proven anything at the NFL level, but as the weeks go on, I think he's going to be a guy in camp that everyone's talking about, all the reporters. And I think early in the season, he is going to make his mark, like I said, early and often. So that's my guy. I'm very, very excited to watch. So other than that, though, there's not too much to get excited about. I know, we added a tight end in the draft and whatnot, but I think Tajay Spears is a guy that's going to turn some heads early.
I don't know, man. I'm really hyped for that tight end then in Josh Wiley to pair up with
So is Sal.
That's a huge mismatch.
That's a great segue man. For me that I'm glad you brought up.
Yeah, it's huge.
I mean, I've listened. Obviously, you go on YouTube and you watch highlights. They're going to show you nothing but good. Everybody knows that. But no matter what film you turn on, his height is still there. His size is still there. And, I mean, all you got to do is get a pair of gloves on this kid and make sure he catches the ball. And I don't see how he doesn't succeed in this league. Can't teach size, can't teach speed. He's got both in immense amounts. So he is, without question, after Levis, my second guy I'm most excited to see in a Titans uniform. And I predict that he is going to really get a good amount of playing time next to Chig Okonkwo, because I think, you're going to find out pretty quickly how capable he is as an NFL tight end. And I'm not just talking catching the ball. I'm sure this organization will get him up to speed with how to block in the NFL as well. We certainly know he has the stature to do it. So I think he's going to flourish in this system. And I'm very, very excited to kind of somewhat counter what you said, Vin, in a little bit of a way. I do think this team realistically is, well, I'm not wholeheartedly disagreeing, but I will say this. I think if this team had an elite quarterback, then D-Hop would be the final key to unlock what we've been wanting so long. Now, that's a lot. That's asking a lot, because there's only a few handful of teams that have an elite quarterback. We've been searching for one for 25 years. But I think this team's really close. I mean, they really are. You look at it from top to bottom. As far as offense is concerned, we're going to assume the offensive line is going to improve. Obviously, we won't know. We got a lot of new faces, a lot of guys that don't
much worse.
I don't know how it could be much worse. I mean, that was historically bad, not just as a franchise, but as a league in general. So I can't foresee it being worse. I can't foresee any male human being being worse than Dennis Daly at left tackle, but that remains to be seen. With all that being said, though, I think we have a lot of guys with chips on their shoulders, a lot of guys that are ready to make a pretty big step forward. Of course, Tajay Spears gets you really excited. We've been searching for this, partner in crime for our king for so long. And, you watch film on him and he just screams Alvin Kamara to you. Like, really, he jack of all trades, shifty as all hell. If his health is not a concern, which we all hope it's not, I mean, this cat should be a real problem in this league. He's no Bijan Robinson by any means, but he's got a lot of eyebrows-ing plays in his, on his resume as well. And I've seen them already. So
we're not going to say he's a Bijan Robinson. He was a top 10 pick, but guess what? Every year there is a running back that usually pops up on the fantasy radar that was a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick. It was a 3rd-round pick. So these running backs, obviously there's only so many Derrick Henrys and McCaffreys and Chubb, but they're a dime a dozen in the draft. You could find one later on, and I'm not going to say he's better than Bijan by any regards, but he could be hella productive year one.
Give me Austin Eckler. I'm fine with that. Give me an Austin Eckler.
Yeah, before Austin Eckler, if he's going to get
even when he was with when Austin Eckler was with Melvin Ingram, those two were dynamite. When he first came in the league, so that's good. But the thing that gets me still, everybody going on, with Will Levis and the Ryan Tannehill, even what we just touched on. So we're going to talk about this all the time, the Ryan Tannehill situation. Ryan Tannehill, I believe he's going into his final year of his contract, so this is going to be his revenge tour. Okay, because Ryan Tannehill with a great play caller, you shake your head all you want. I'm dying on a rock here. Okay. Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback of this team. He's going to take us somewhere this year. He's on his revenge tour, and I think with a really good play caller and weapons surrounding him with a good offensive line, I think everyone's going to see the true Ryan Tannehill like we had in 2019, and lead us to something this year. So don't be shocked.
You want to know the problem with that statement, Jarrett? Is that we could clip this and put a timestamp on it from 2020 all the way until now, and nobody would know the difference because it's been the same fucking trailer to every season of ours.
Tom Downing ruined that championship drive. I don't give a shit. I understand that we had Julio Jones and all that other stuff. We can go back and talk about this for whatever. But Ryan Tannehill is a prove it. He's done it. He's 2-2 against the Bills in the last 4, and I believe he's 2-2 or 2-3 against Kansas City. Okay, he's beaten these guys.
Not in the playoffs.
Somebody needs to make a meme of the Titanic when Rose is holding on to Jack and says, "I'll never let go," and we need to put Jared
Ryan Tannehill
and Tannehill's face.
Sammy, you're do it this week. There you go.
Sammy, you're gonna have to make one of them for us.
There you go.
You're dying on a hill, and you're dying alone on that hill. You're talking about 2019. You're talking about 2019. I had abs in 2019, but things change and the window's closed.
I'm not talking 20. I'm not talking.
I had marriage plans in 2019.
All right, we'll leave that one where it is.
Now I'm back in Belmar and Memorial Day weekend, so things change.
Shout out Barre, no free shout outs.
Yeah, for real.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But no, I mean, do I still think he gives us the best chance to win right now? Sure, but that's because we have an unproven rookie and an even more unproven guy, in my opinion, a second-year guy, Malik Willis. So of the 3, he's our best option. But unless a lot of things go our way, the ball bouncing some funky ways in our favor or some injuries going our way, I do not see, the Tannehill of 2019 or 2020 walking through that door. He is 4 or 5 years older now than he was then. He's had some injuries since then.
He's got his ass beat 2 years in a row. And all the injuries too. You can't blame him for that bullshit.
I'm not blaming him for that, but guess what? Either way, whether it's his fault,
you're saying surround the quarterback with talent. We were the most injured team for 2 years.
Whether it's his fault or not
in the playoffs, and we still got to the playoffs.
Whether it was his fault or not that he got banged up, it still happened to him. And at this point in his career, I think he's nothing more than a guy who you maybe win the division with and will be a good, hopefully mentor to Will Levis, who's hopefully our future. Sal's got his finger up. So let Sal have his weekly aneurysm.
I'm not gonna have an aneurysm. I gave the old Joe Flacco finger. Here's one thing I need to stress here. Every fucking playoff game this guy's had, he's had a plethora of talent around him. Every playoff game starting with New England, he's had plenty of talent and protection around him. So I don't want to hear that excuse. And number two, there is a much, much, much bigger difference between facing Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and company in October as opposed to in January. Much, much different. He could beat Patrick Mahomes, 3 straight years in the regular season. It's a different Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead in 15-degree weather. It just is. Everyone knows that. It's just a fact. So, I don't want to hear about his record against the big boys. It means nothing when everything's on the line, and we've seen it a million times. I mean, how many fucking years we have to get to the playoffs, give this guy the keys to the kingdom, and he throws him in the fucking river. I mean, it's every single year now, and it started with Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and it's followed us all the way. See, she's pissed off too.
Can you try again? Come on.
I know
because you know why? Brad Johnson is Ryan. I mean, to Ryan Tannehill's Brad Johnson this year, and our defense is going to hold up.
I want to see. We should pull up Brad Johnson's stats.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on. We're going to segue into our second segment of this show tonight, where we're going to go into what each of our favorite moments was as Titan fans. I'm sure all three of us will have awesome ones to bring up. Vin, why don't you start us off? And in the meantime, I'm going to find out what Brad Johnson's stats were. I guarantee you he's got less than 30 touchdowns. Go ahead.
I mean, well, I brought it up on the show before. I was at the playoff game in Baltimore. Two of my oldest and closest friends, Joey and Blaze, came with me as my protection because I knew I was going to get a little boozed up and a little rowdy. We had a hell of a time. We dominated that game from the start. After Kevin Byard's interception and after we stopped them when they went for it on 4th down, and the next play was the Khalif Raymond interception, I knew that game was over. We walked from the stadium to our hotel, all boozed up, just talking all kinds of junk. And I got on the news that night with the famous is Rachel the redhead clip, which we're going to have to clip that and explain that story one day. But that was my favorite memory. And another one sticks out as well because it was the first Titans game I ever went to. I was in, I think, 8th or 9th grade. They were in Philly, which they're only in Philly once every 8 years. It was when McNabb tore his ACL, which, I don't wish injury on anybody, but it was memorable for that. It was memorable because I remember Pac-Man Jones returned a punt for a touchdown in my end zone. He jumped on the goalpost and slid down it. It was just I still have the ticket to the game. Javon Curse was on the ticket because he had left Tennessee to go to Philly, so the Eagles organization thought they were funny putting him on the ticket against the Titans. But we won that game. We dominated. It was the first game I've ever been to. So if I had to rank my favorite memories, it would be one, that Baltimore game, where after that game, I convinced myself we were winning the Super Bowl. And then after that, the first game I ever went to in Philly.
You want to say your Brad Johnson stat before I get into mine?
Yeah, no, I got to apologize. I really do, Jared. I'm looking at Ryan Tannehill right here. I mean, he played 16 years. His overall record was 72-53. His Super Bowl year, he went 10-3, threw for 3,049 yards. He had 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I mean, this is Ryan Tannehill. I'm looking right at him.
Efficient.
2 Pro Bowls in 16 years.
Because the defense.
This is him.
Because the defense. That was a great comp. No, I brought that up 2 weeks ago, but whatever.
Guess what? Ryan Tannehill's had a great defense his whole career as a Titan, and he's done oogats with it.
Yeah,
okay?
We'll see.
I'm sorry, but
for those non-Italian speakers out there, ungats means slang for nothing, for shit.
Nothing. But favorite Titans memory, live in person, I'm gonna have to say was that New England game, man. Brady's last game in New England. That was I mean, I've been to a lot of games live as a Titans fan, but that tailgate was insane. There was probably 450 of us in that tailgate. Felt like every single Titan fan in the state of Massachusetts was there. And
all
seeing
100
Brady,
of us.
Nah, there was a lot.
No,
there was a lot, but seeing Brady's last game as a Patriot and the last play was an interception return for a touchdown. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And another great memory was when we I remember when we stomped on the Pittsburgh Steelers tower to go 13-0, and I think we lock up the 1 seed with that.
I think so.
With the chain too and everything with Javon Curse and Keith Bulluck, that was like, I mean, everyone says it's a curse now, but to me, yeah, that was the kiss of death. But to me, that was like you're not messing with the Tennessee Titans from this point on. I mean, I got goosebumps even thinking about that.
Yeah. So I mean, as we've mentioned before, I was at the New England game as well, and it was a very memorable experience from what I remember. I was pretty banged up for most of it. It was negative 10 degrees, but to see, there was a lot of anomalies in that game. I mean, beating Brady in the playoffs on the road, that's an anomaly. I took a picture of Paul Kaharski. That's an anomaly as well. That's never going to happen again. So a lot of firsts that night. That was great. And but my personal favorite moments got to be the Baltimore game, just a week after that one. Because none of us believed we were going to do what we did.
Beat the shit out of them.
We just really pummeled. It was never a game. And to experience that with my dad, it was just, it was perfect. The only thing that wasn't perfect about it was my ex-girlfriend was there. If I could have removed her out of that, it would have been one of the greatest experiences of my life. But that was just excellent. We were jumping up and down, and my dad was on my shoulders. I was running around the freaking living room, and it was just I went out to Morristown that night in my Derrick Henry jersey. Everybody was cheersing me and shit. And I had my sleeves rolled up. Everybody saw the sword. It was a blast. I'm never going to forget that. So that's it. Yeah. So that's it for this week. We're going to wrap up. We're going to cover the defensive side of the football next week. I think we'll have a little bit more to talk about in that aspect because there's a lot of moving parts to this defense, some that we missed last year, some new additions, some previous draft picks that we expected more of and hope to see more of coming into it. So we'll have a little bit more to touch on next week. But for this week, we're going to wrap up. Make sure, as always, you like, subscribe, share the show with your friends. As I always say, each week we're growing and growing and growing. And we appreciate all the love and support we're getting. We're getting a lot of personal comments from a lot of people, just showing a lot of love. And it means a lot to us, and it keeps us in the game and making sure we put out the best content possible. So we appreciate all of that. And anything else you fellas want to add before we wrap up for tonight?
No, just thanks again to the men and women of service who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country so we could enjoy, the freedoms that we have in this weekend in particular. I think a lot of us take it for granted, but if it wasn't for them, it would be all for nothing. So thank you to all the men and women of service in this great nation, and tighten up.
Absolutely. God bless America. God bless our troops, and tighten up. Sammy, send me out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.